The project supporting the education of marginalized girls STEM 2 was implemented in Nepal by Mercy Corps and funded by GEC. All the external evaluations of the project were conducted by Foundation for Development Management. This is a presentation of the inline evaluation of the project. As with the baseline and midline evaluations, the outcomes for endline evaluation also included learning, transition, and sustainability. However, the indicators measuring these outcomes were changed due to different reasons. For example, as the schools were closed and we were unable to conduct literacy and numeracy tests with the STEM beneficiary girls, uh, the learning outcome rather focused on looking at the percentage of girls who demonstrate positive changes in their perception about learning since midline. Similarly, for transition, uh, we were interested in looking at how the different combination of trainings provided by STEM to contributed in increasing girls' confidence, decision-making ability, self-efficacy, livelihood opportunities, and agency among mainly among out-of-school girls. Likewise, for sustainability, the three key indicators were initiatives and decisions taken by school management to retain support received from STEM to level of STEM to support to provincial, local governments to develop education plans focusing on improvement of girls' education and safeguarding policies, and also the best practices of STEM to that were retained and supported by local governments. There were altogether five intermediate outcomes: teaching practices, safeguarding, self confidence, impacts, and resilience that were demonstrated by different groups of girls against COVID 19, and gender sensitivity of different groups, different stakeholders, including girls, parents, community members, school based stakeholders, among others. The methodology that was used for inline evaluation was also changed because a number of changes were made to the log frame and the indicators measuring outcomes and intermediate outcomes. As there were no learning tests this time, the difference in difference analysis was not included in the methodology. Similarly, the girls who were in grade 8 at the inception of the project were tracked for inline evaluation, as these were the girls who were in grade 10 and graduated from their SAE exams last year, just before the inline evaluation was conducted. Similarly, the sample was redesigned for the out of school population as well, considering the changes that we discussed in the transition outcomes. And about the tools, we used girls survey, household survey, and qualitative consultations with various stakeholders. The total sample size for inline evaluation was 998, including the treatment IS girls, control IS girls, and the out of school girls. And out of that, the inline evaluation was able to achieve 904, meaning that there was an overall attrition of 9.41%. Several measures were taken into consideration as the data collection, especially the quantitative data collection, the surveys were conducted amid lockdown during the data collection. For instance, evaluation design was revised considering the challenges of COVID 19, as we discussed earlier. Similarly, the enumerators and all the researchers involved in data collection maintain physical distance with respondents throughout the process of data collection. All the enumerators, researchers, respondents were provided with masks, gloves, and their hands were sanitized before any interviews that were conducted. Similarly, enumerators followed quarantine protocol after data collection. They were also insured. FDM also ensured PCR tests of the researchers involved in data collection, and the researchers were quarantined after they returned to Kathmandu from a field district. Now, talking about findings, in the learning perception outcomes, we can see that 86.30% of treatment girls demonstrated a positive perception about their learning performance improvement. The number was 75.30 among the control group. This difference between the treatment and control group is statistically significant. When we explored the different types of learning performance improvement, the four major points that were highlighted by girls during the research were improvement in examination scores. Some said they started becoming more active in classroom discussion and activities. Similarly, the girls also experienced improved understanding of lessons in the classroom and an increased interest to learn. Under learning outcomes, we also looked at girls' performance in their SE examinations of 2020. This secondary education examination is a national board examination through which girls are transitioned into higher education, higher secondary level. So IS girls in both treatment and control schools were graduated from SE examinations with a mean GPA score of 2.50. The difference between treatment and control girls was not found to be statistically significant. However, it should be considered that since all the SE board exams were cancelled due to COVID-19 in 2020, the girls were graded by their own respective schools based on their internal examination scores. So, talking about the different drivers of change in learning, we found that girls' club classes have contributed the most. The girls said that due to their engagement in girls' club classes, their confidence increased and they started becoming more comfortable in participating in classroom activities in the regular school classes as well. Similarly, there was an increased parental support, and as a result of this, girls' engagement in household chores also significantly decreased, which resulted in their increased engagement in learning activities in girls' club classes as well as in peer learning activities. So here is one quote from an IS girl in Dhangadi who says that the regular classes in schools are larger in student size and is very noisy. Students seated in the last benches can hardly listen to the teachers. Also, especially as there are boys as well, we feel shy to stand up and ask questions to the teachers. All of this is not a problem in the girls' club classes. So, this is an example how the girls' club classes contributed for an improved learning among girls. So we've presented some learning insights from Midline. We can see that for literacy, a difference of 8.10% was observed between baseline and midline for the treatment group. The same difference was 3.40 among the control group. Similarly, in the numeracy, the difference of 22.42% was observed among the treatment group from baseline to midline. This was an improvement of 22.42%. Similarly, for the control group, the improvement was less by almost half. So the difference that was observed among a control group while coming from baseline to midline was only 11.41%. The following slide presents a difference in difference analysis based on which we can see that the literacy targets were achieved during the midline by 115%, and for numeracy, the performance against target was 265.97%. We also explored how COVID-19 might have affected girls' future aspirations concerning learning. So 90% girls whom we interviewed during quantitative survey said that COVID-19 has affected their future aspirations. However, 85% of them said that they can still deal with the pandemic and be persistent on their future aspirations regarding learning. So this is a picture of resilience that the girls demonstrated. We also asked the girls about some of the learning alternatives in the context of COVID-19. 68.50% of the girls identified self-learning as an alternative, and 22.10% said that they can utilize their free time to develop skills to fit into the job market in the future. Only 6.80% of the girls said that online learning can be an alternative for them in the context of COVID-19. So this is mainly because girls do not have smartphones, and also due to erratic internet connection. The internet is not easily accessible in the remote areas of Koilali district. 54.40% of the treatment girls said that they received support from the project during COVID-19 pandemic. Most of these supports included distribution of learning materials and distribution of COVID-19 safety hygiene materials like masks and sanitizers. This percentage among control group was very low. Only 5.50% of the control girls said that they received these supports from different organizations. As we already discussed earlier, transition outcomes at Endline was focused on observing the contribution of different combination of trainings in increasing girls' confidence, livelihood skills, and other skills such as agency and self confidence. Uh, the trainings that were taken into account were youth financial literacy training, business skills development training, vocational training, and a GTF loan support that was provided by the project as a loan to the girls who were interested in starting their own business or expanding their already existing business. As we can see in the slide, uh, a total number of YFLT recipients was 1069. Similarly, 1033 girls received BSD, business skills development training, 560 received vocational trainings, and 434 girls took the loan support from the project. So in overall, 60% of the out of school or the school graduate girls who received different combinations of these trainings demonstrated increased confidence, decision making ability, self efficacy, livelihood opportunities, and agency. Uh, so we briefly presented here a sample for different combination of trainings. Out of total 507 out of school samples, 8 included girls who only took YFLT training, 165 included YFLT and business skill development training, 98 included the combination of YFLT, business skills development BSD, and vocational training. 11 included YFLT, BDT, and GTF. 12 included YFLT, BDT, VT, and GTF. 17 girls in the sample had only taken VT, and 27 only GTF. So as we can see that the sample size for some of the combination of these trainings is quite low. So given the limited sample size across different combinations, findings pertaining to the effectiveness of different trainings have been caveated in the main report, in the analysis. Now, in terms of effectiveness of different combinations of trainings and support, we can see that girls who received GTF along with other different combinations of trainings such as YFLT, business skills, and vocational trainings. So girls who took the loan support from STEM performed well in terms of demonstrating confidence, livelihood opportunities, decision making ability, self efficacy, and agency. So we can make out that GTF is a key factor that contributes in translating girls' skills into some real results, as in confidence, livelihood opportunities, decision making ability, self efficacy, and agency. Here's an example of a girl who started her tailoring business in Sukhad with the money that she received in loan from the project. Initially, her family did not encourage her in this venture, as she had to travel 45 minutes in bicycle to reach the shop in Sukhad. It is a marketplace that is 45 minutes away from her village. So there were also some community members who tried to convince her husband that she would rather stay home, and because it was risky to travel such long distance in bicycle. But as she had already started the business with the loan money, the family did not have any option but to let her continue with her venture, because ultimately she had to pay the loan back. Uh, However, in time, the shop picked up very well, and in no time, she started supporting her family with family expenses with her income. She's already cleared her loan amount in just 1 year, and now she has also employed a friend from the same village that she comes from. Now the community members no longer try to discourage them traveling 45 minutes in cycle every day to the shop. So she said that her life has changed in many terms. In terms of the impact of COVID-19 on transition, 82.70% of the out of school girls said that COVID-19 has affected their future aspirations regarding work, business, and income generation. Out of this, 54.50% of girls said that they can still deal with the problems and be persistent on their aspirations regarding work, business, and income generation. So this percentage of girls demonstrating resilience against the impacts of COVID-19 is higher among the transition cohort in comparison to the learning cohort. So this is because since the out of school girls are already engaged in some form of business and income generation, so the impact of COVID-19 was more visible, more vivid in this group, as their day-to-day life was directly affected by COVID-19, as the jobs were lost and income generation was seriously affected. Some of the most common impacts of COVID-19, as highlighted by the girls, were the families facing financial hardships due to COVID-19. Some girls were forced to stop their businesses, and others said that there would be very little job opportunities for the future. So these were the kinds of impacts that the girls highlighted, and the forms of resilience demonstrated were, so most of the girls said that they were not the only ones that were affected by COVID-19. Things will get back to normal in time. So 77.50% of girls said this, and 14.70 said they can still develop skills and train themselves to fit into the job market in the future. And 5% said COVID-19 crisis can only delay their dreams, not cancel them all. 2.70 said they have a good support of network of family and friends, which can be helpful in difficult times. The STEM 2 project was found to have supported the out of school girls, the transition cohort in during COVID-19. For instance, the loan payback time was extended. The interest rate was reduced from 8% to 5%, and COVID-19 safety and hygiene materials were distributed. With regards to the sustainability outcome, initiatives and decisions taken by school management to retain support received from STEM 2 was found to be high. We rated this high on the basis of evidence that we'll discuss in later slides. And similarly, level of STEM to support to provincial, local governments to develop education plans focusing on improvement of girls' education and safeguarding policies was also found to be high. However, best practices of STEM to retained and supported by local governments was found was rated medium. So in terms of the first indicator, initiatives and decisions taken by school management to retain support received from STEM 2, we found that the infrastructure support and inclusive resources provided by STEM 2 are sustainable, as the schools have developed ownership towards this infrastructure support and have been regularly maintaining and using these resources. There have also been evidence of gender-friendly SIPs. So while most of the schools used to take SIP, School Improvement Plan, as only a formality document that they had to submit to the government every year. So after STEM's support and sensitization among school stakeholders, they have started taking SIP very seriously, and they have been including several gender-friendly policies in their school improvement plans. Similarly, we also found the practice of skills transfer between trained and non-trained teachers in the school. And some of the schools have also already started remedial classes. So this is a replication of Girls Club classes run by STEM 2. In these remedial classes, the schools have not only been including girls but also boys. The project's engagement with the provincial and local governments was found to be very encouraging. For example, after the implementation of federalism in Nepal, after first year of project implementation, so STEM had to work with several local governments. So despite all the changes, the local governments that we interacted with in the course of this study highly appreciated STEM's effort in continuously, sharing data and working on developing the capacity of local government in the formulation of education plans and implementation of these plans and policies. STEM also supported the local governments and the provincial government as well in formulating the policies regarding COVID-19. This included formulation of school reopening policies, the safety protocols that the schools had to follow after reopening, among many others. Similarly, the local government representatives whom we interacted with in the course of this study said that STEM project has been regularly sharing findings from monitoring and evaluation of the project as well as other learning activities. So this was helpful in ensuring evidence-based planning in girls' education. So, as we already discussed earlier, STEM also worked towards the capacity building of the newly formed local government. This was very important in order to ensure that the government prioritized the education sector and included girls' education as their priority. In terms of best practices of STEM to retained and supported by local governments, we could see that some of the local governments have been collaborating with schools in supporting the remedial classes that some of the schools have started as a learning from girls clubs. And there are also encouraging commitments from all of the local governments. When we interacted with them, they said that they're largely aware about the achievements of STEM 2 project, and they're interested in integrating the major achievements, the key aspects of the project into their own planning. We also found government's ownership on trainings that was provided by STEM to the out of school girls. So the out of school girls who received vocational trainings from STEM were also considered eligible to receive other loan and seed money support from the government fund. So this was a really good ownership example that we experienced in the course of this study. Under teaching practices, we were interested in observing the difference in teaching practices of three different groups of teachers. For example, girls club facilitators, the teachers from the treatment school who teach at girls clubs and were trained by the project. Other non-GCFs, so non-girls club facilitators, the teachers of treatment schools who are not engaged in girls club classes, and those that are not trained by the project, and the control school teachers. So we wanted to observe difference between three different groups of teachers. Our finding shows that 81.80% of the girls club facilitators have been using child friendly teaching methods. 69.10 other regular school teachers of the treatment school have been using child friendly teaching methods. The same number is as low as 49.30% in the control school teachers. So this difference between GCFs, non GCFs and control school teachers is statistically significant. With regards to girls' response on teaching behaviors, 12.50% of the girls said that their teachers treat boys and girls differently in the classroom. The number has decreased from 24.79% in the midline. So the girls who said their teachers make them feel welcome in the classroom increased from 83.99% at midline to 99.50% at endline, and this is an encouraging achievement. And the number of girls stating that their teachers often remain absent in the classrooms also decreased from 41.81% at midline to only 9.60% at endline. So this shows that the overall teaching behavior of the teachers has been improving gradually in the treatment schools. The Endline findings also highlighted some of the key challenges that the teachers have been facing due to COVID-19. One is financial challenges, especially the teachers that were hired by schools on their private resources could not be provided their full salary as the schools were closed for about 10 months due to COVID-19. And the teachers were also found to be under immense pressure to complete the course on time. So as the schools were closed for a prolonged period, the pressure was on teachers in terms of completing the given course of study. So from these two challenges, we sensed another major challenge in terms of sustaining the child-friendly teaching methods, as the teachers are facing different kinds of financial challenges and pressure to complete the course. So the achievements made by project in terms of child-friendly teaching methods could be compromised. So this was an area that we found could should attract some immediate attention of the donors and projects like STEM 2. Regarding the awareness about different safeguarding threats, we could observe a generally high awareness among different groups of girls about different kinds of safeguarding threats such as bullying, gender based violence, abuse, and harassment. The girls also demonstrated a high level of awareness about different referral mechanisms. Most of the girls, almost 100%, said that they would speak to their friends if they are faced with some kinds of safeguarding threats. And the girls also said that they would speak to their family, siblings, people from NGOs or the project social mobilizers, among others. We also particularly explored the use of complaint response mechanisms in the schools, but it was found that girls are usually reluctant to drop complaints about serious and sensitive safeguarding issues in the complaint box. So this is because the girls are not still fully confident about the anonymity that the complaint boxes ensure. The complaint boxes are rather used to register complaints about other different issues such as the absenteeism of the teachers, and fans not working, not enough number of benches and desks for the students. Similarly, the another intermediate outcome that we had was self confidence. As with the awareness about different safeguarding threats, the girls were also found to be equally confident in terms of tackling these safeguarding threats if they are themselves faced with such situations. Almost 95%, over 95% girls said that they would retaliate or respond based on the situation against the people who are doing inappropriate things to them. Similarly, over 95% said they would immediately find someone to share their problems and take action against the people who are doing inappropriate things to them. So the number of girls who said that they would ignore or they would run away or they would not know what to do if such situations actually occur was very low in all the groups of girls. Also, through qualitative highlights, we came across a number of evidence of girls who demonstrated confidence by reporting cases of abuse or violence in schools and communities. And there was also evidence of SG and OOS girls who demonstrated confidence to seek independence and better livelihood, notwithstanding negative social norms, especially in the family of the in-laws and communities. So this is a result of different combinations of trainings provided by the project and the businesses they started on their own. And lastly, with regards to gender sensitivity, we found that teachers, overall school environment, and girls themselves are highly sensitive towards the gender requirements of the girls, especially. However, with regards to parents, although most of the girls said that their parents are supportive in their education or their work, we found that the parents still hardly consider the opinions of their daughters while making key life decisions about them, for example, marriage, higher studies, or employment, among others. So, for this reason, the gender sensitivity of the parents was rated as moderate. Similarly, among boys, while the project worked with the girls in increasing their self-efficacy and confidence, and also awareness about different kinds of social norms, discriminatory practices, and all that, so the boys were completely excluded from this opportunity. So as a result of this, while we can observe a very high level of sensitivity among girls, the boys don't see different forms of discriminatory practices and harmful social norms as a problem. So this is a major issue that may come up in the social fabric in the future, as the girls and boys both have to coexist in the same society. So this was found as a unintended consequence of the project, and should be considered by any future project of similar nature. So that was all. Thank you so much.